My name is Natalia Mille, and I'm an MBA student at INSEAD. It is an honor to welcome all of you to this special keynote session. We are living in a pivotal moment for global climate diplomacy. With the world facing increasing pressure to accelerate the transition to a net zero economy, and Brazil preparing to host COP30 in Belém, the international community is looking to Brazil for leadership and vision. It is therefore a great privilege to introduce today's keynote speaker, a key figure at the heart of these efforts. Ambassador Lilian Chagas is the lead negotiator for COP30 and Director for Climate at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Brazil. She has played a central role in shaping Brazil's climate diplomacy and advancing international cooperation on critical issues such as climate finance, carbon markets, and nature-based solutions. Her leadership is instrumental as Brazil prepares to host one of the most important climate conferences of this decade. At a time when the country's global influence on environmental issues is expanding, she brings deep expertise and a clear strategic vision to the global stage. Please join me in welcoming Ambassador Lilian Chagas.
Bonjour, good afternoon, boa tarde. Thank you very much for inviting me to this Brazil Climate Summit. I understand that last year, my then boss, Ambassador André Lago, was a speaker, and then later on he was chosen president designate for COP30. So coming to the Brazil Climate Summit means, you know, you are able to go into higher office. Just it's really nice to be here. Well, I'm going to give you in less than 20 minutes, hopefully, because I tend to speak too much, an overview of where we are in terms of climate change negotiations and possibilities this year. I will go faster in the first part, where we speak where Brazil stands, and try to be more a little bit more time in the second part with our ideas for the COP itself in the end of the year. So I will present Brazil as a champion of climate. You can change the... And like the Magna Carta of this new Brazil, as far as climate change goes, is the current NDC, National Determined Contribution. It's a policy that was brought about by the Paris Agreement in 2015. And all countries must have a climate policy. Every country has to make a contribution to the global effort of keeping the temperature in control. So this is a key year for the NDCs because it's after 10 years of Paris, this is the second cycle of NDCs. So we will have, by the end of the year, a factual assessment of where collectively, in all countries, all the world, where we are in our possibility to keep the temperature under control, or if we are off track and at what level. So this Brazil was among the first countries to present the NDC. It was presented in COP29 by the Vice President Geraldo Alckmin. He went there specifically to show that we are committed to our climate commitments through the international agreements. And also because we wanted to lead by example. Being host of a COP, we have to do everything right. And so we were the first to present the NDC, and an NDC that if you have the time to look at it, it's available on the UNFCCC website. It's it presents the target of the country, but also the policies to how to get there. And in reading these policies, the areas that Brazil will have to advance in order to reduce emissions until 2035 is a window. It's a picture of opportunities to investments, to collaboration, to explore those areas. So the main goal is to present the country and its plan for the next 10 years as agricultural powerhouse with clean energy and new industrial scenario. To develop the industry of Brazil, to become a green source of services and products is one important goal of the country. Also, so the target, no, it's not an absolute number, it's a range. In 10 years, Brazil is planning to reduce its emissions in all of the economy between 59 and 67%, considering the 2005 levels. And why is that? In terms of real gigatons of CO2, it will mean in 10 years more than cut by half the current emissions. It's a huge task. It's a huge, very ambitious target. And so not only government policies, but also the private sector will have to jump in order to make it possible. And why is that range? It explaining there, since we are living very challenging times, the world economy, the world geopolitics, is not really, very favorable to ambitious climate policy. There's a shortage of finance, of public finance. There is effort to the multilateral development banks to do more, what they do now, and also there has been studies and a lot of conversation on how to reform the international financial architecture to make climate finance more available, easy, and more cheap, more easy to access. So in these difficult realities, if we change this reality and regain an environment of international trust and international cooperation with fully functioning international organizations, we will go for the higher target. If not, we have like a cushion to still be contributing to the world reduction of emission, but in a realistic way. So the first part is what is about the policies that have to be in place to achieve this target. So these are just some of them, not them all. You can find a more extensive list in the NBC probably. So the first thing is a pact for ecological transformation among the three branches of the state: the executive, the legislative, and the justice system. They abide for a sustainable development future. Brazil has many challenges to develop, but it will develop taking good care of its natural resource. Also, climate federalism. There is many policies to involve the states and cities. Brazil is such a huge country that some cities or states are bigger than most of countries in the world. So climate federalism, and also the country is following the CHAMP initiative coming from COP28. A mastermind in the world of the current policies is this ecological transformation plan that came from the Minister of Finance, and it's many sub-items that will be developing or are being developed as we speak. Sovereign bonds, Eco-Invest that was developed with the IDB, blended finance, the Amazon Fund, and also Fundo Clima, which are all tools to make this transition possible. Currently, the country is discussing its climate plan. The climate plan is a detail of the NDC. The NDC is an international public policy. You don't have to go into details. You just have to say, this is my target for 2035, and I have, and also it encompasses the whole of the economy and all gases, greenhouse gases, but you don't have to go into details. However, at the climate plan, at the national level, you have to bring the sectors and have important, bold discussions of which sector will do what, in what time, with what policies to support them. So the climate plan is being organized right now. It's not really, it's not ready yet. It has been, it will go with public consultation. All companies and sectors will have opportunity to have their say. The climate plan is worked around a national mitigation strategy and a national adaptation strategy that is led by the Ministry of the Environment, but they only they are the executive secretary for these plans. The governing body, the body that will take decision, is the CIM, the Inter-Ministerial Climate Committee that sits in the Chief of Staff of the Presidency. There is also a big plan that has been evolving for the last years for agriculture that seeks regenerative agriculture, the ABC Plus plan. Also, a National Energy Transition Plan, the National Biofuels Program. There is a new law that was passed for the fuel of the future. I will get on that later. The plans for the new industrial plan, and the Brazilian emissions trade system. The law has been approved last year. Now the government is finalizing the regulation of this emission trade system. That's going to be the national carbon markets. That's also important to considering the emissions of the target. We can change this. So, what is there already in place? You know, what Brazil has that allows it to be among the first, to be a climate champion, to bring others, to give examples, to best practice to other countries. It's among the most renewable energy mix in the world, 90% renewables in electricity, and almost 50% in the energy mix as a total. The country is in the forefront of the global energy transition, and we must recall here the important calls that came from COP28, from the first global stocktake of the Paris Agreement, and this is a collective evaluation, assessment of where we are, and the conclusion is that the world is off track. You know, the current NDCs are not enough. They are insufficient to meet the goal of the Paris Agreement, that's to keep the temperature under 2 degrees, preferably under 1.5. So, for example, one of these calls in the energy sector was to triple renewables, double energy efficiency, and transition away from fossil fuels in the energy mix. Brazil cannot triple renewables. It has in its electricity mix already almost 100%. But this shows that others can do as well. The biofuels programs is completing 50 years this year. It has been, Brazil has invested in clean fuels for for 5 decades now, and this recent law on the fuels of the future, it means that currently the gasoline in Brazil, it has 27% of ethanol from sugarcane. With this law, it can go up to 30%. No country will have this kind of mixture in the gasoline. And also 75% of the cars in the streets, they are flex fuel. The consumer can choose whether they want a gasoline or ethanol according to the price, and increasingly they choose the ethanol because it's cleaner. So this is very important to plan the future of fossils. Also, there is planning for low emission hydrogen, and a great potential for sustainable aviation fuels and low emission fuels for shipping. Very recently, the IMO, the International Maritime Organization, agreed and adopted a package of measures to decarbonize the sector. So there's going to be lots of opportunity in the maritime sector. And also, the country is fostering regional integration. You know, Brazil is the biggest, the largest countries in Latin America, and the region has an immense potential to be a source of green services and green products. It has to integrate it more in the energy sector. And also the world's largest tropical forest, and this has become a very powerful instrument as carbon sink. And we're going to be talking a little bit later of how COP30 will foster massive programs of deforestation for reforestation. You can change now. Well, in the international agenda, Brazil is not being shy. That's giving us in the Foreign Service lots of work. We're a little bit overworked at this time. Last year we had the G20 presidency, and we began to construct COP30 at the G20. We had the G20 principles on energy transitions for the first time, president results. We had the TF task force on climate. For the first time in the history of the G20, we merged the two tracks, the political track, the so-called Sherpa track, and the finance track, and we put those officials together to agree on what has to be done, what can be done currently in the international system to facilitate climate finance. The outcomes are really important for unleashing climate finance. And also, for the first time, there is agreements on principles for bioeconomy, which is an area also that is a vast potential for Brazil. This year, we have the BRICS plus presidents. BRICS is Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, and 5 more countries became members, and we are discussing with them finance, trade, common patents, common BRICS patents for climate, and carbon accounting. The discussions are still underway. I'm going back to Brazil because Wednesday we should adopt the 4 outcomes in these questions. Well, there is what we call the NDC diplomacy. President Lula and the UN Secretary General are talking to all countries in the world, big emitters, around 35 countries who are the currently big emitters. They must move faster. They must come up with ambitious NDCs in order to make our possibilities for controlling for achieving the goals of the Paris Agreement a reality. And then, in the end of the year, COP30. COP30 is a big multilateral conference, but not only on the Convention on Climate Change, also it takes care of the Kyoto Protocol and the Paris Agreement, which is now celebrating 10 years. And in 2000, now Brazil is the incoming presidency, although we are still already, trying to influence the outcomes. but the actual presence is next year's. Next slide, please. So COP30 has been, we are like presenting the plans right now, and the main topics I select to give you is it will mean a transition from the negotiation phase to the implementation phase, because 10 years after the adoption of the Paris Agreement, it has been concluded what we call the rule book of the Paris Agreement. You know, regulations, rules, norms that will make the agreement possible. Now we have the full cycle of the agreement. NDCs, we're going to the second round of NDCs, national adaptation plans, they are due this year as well, and BTRs. And we conclude the global stocktake in December 2023 with many recommendations to the future. Why we have to go faster? Because what science is telling countries that we have a limited time window to act. Last year was for the first time we had 12 months in a row where we overshoot the 1.5 degrees Celsius. And so what the IPCC and sciences are calling is for speed and scale of solutions. That's the elements why we are calling COP30, or we are presenting it as a possibility to do a turning point. In Portuguese, Copa da Virada. And it is a very Brazilian concept. It applies to football as well. When you are losing the game, like 7-1 to Germany, when you are losing the game, you manage to change the result. You turned the result. That's a virada. That's something that applies for football as well. And so the main topics will be again finance. We had agreed the new goal on climate finance last year in Baku. It was a very hard discussion. COP29 came this close to collapse, but the parties were able to agree a very low, what is considered a low quantum for climate finance, only 300 billion per year. And this will include everything, not only public finance from developed countries, but everything, all the contributions to the multilateral development banks, private sector, everything will be counted as climate finance. So in order to make developing countries accept that what they saw as insufficient quantum, we launched a Baku Belém roadmap to unleash $1.3 trillion in climate finance until 2030. This roadmap is not a negotiation. This will be presented by the two presidencies, Azerbaijan and Brazil, as a roadmap. What has to be done, what can be done in the short term, in the medium term, in the long term, to have this kind of finance. And also a new feature is that outcomes come in 4 dimensions, not only the multilateral negotiations, but the leader summits that are happening in Belém before the COP, 6 and 7 of November. The action agenda, that is also a difference, not what Brazil wants to happen, it's focused on the implementation of the first GST. And I understand we partner with BCG to take a very broad and meaningful action agenda ahead. And also a new thing, a global mobilization, a global mutirão. Mutirão is an indigenous word from Tupi-Guarani. It means when we have a task that is so big and you cannot do it alone, you need your friends, families, and neighbors to perform, like build a house, repair a bridge. And then you need a mutirão. And that's what we need to fight climate change in 2025. We need a collective action of everyone coming together. And also ethical global stocktake that are events that will bring all walks of life, philosophers, artists, students, academics, artists, hopefully to the places of possible tipping points to have an ethical discussion about what the future looks like. And for the action agenda, it's important to say that we will have thematic pavilions, not only national pavilions as usual, but thematic pavilions to discuss with a broad public energy, mobility, nature-based solutions. So we need to internationalize the action agenda, not take people to their national pavilions, but also to discuss the different areas that needs action. So a Brazilian diplomat, Ambassador André Corrêa do Lago, was selected as COP president, which is very good news for us and for the world, because he used to be a climate negotiator. So he knows, how the process works, why it's not working, and what has to be changed. And also, I invite you to read his letters to the international community. The first one was about the vision for COP30. The second was about the global mobilization against climate change, but it's also an effort to bring the science of complex system thinking into the conversation of climate. And the third letter was just released last Friday. It's on the multilateral negotiations that will begin in June in Bonn, Germany, where is the host of the UNFCCC. We want to take some early harvest in this June decision, so the letter is a call on negotiators, is a push on negotiators to deliver already in Bonn and not leave everything for the COP. The Brazilian press thought the letter was too harsh, poor negotiators, what they have done. And, but when you go out of the diplomatic language and speak the language of the streets, sometimes you get impact. So I want to finish with a video, because there is going to be places for many areas in the action agenda, but
a Terra está chegando ao ponto de não retorno. Bilhões de toneladas de CO2 estão sendo emitidos na atmosfera. Reduzir essa emissão é essencial. Mas já não é suficiente. É preciso ir além. Mas como? Por meio de uma tecnologia rápida, prática, barata e disponível. Plantar árvores e restaurar florestas. Agora imagina fazer isso nos locais devastados da floresta amazônica. A região que só por existir garante que a Terra permaneça 1 grau Celsius mais fria. O Brasil possui uma vasta área que se estende por toda a borda da Amazônia, fortemente desmatada ao longo de décadas. É nessa região que o governo brasileiro vai reconstruir milhões de hectares de mata nativa e transformar o arco do desmatamento no arco da restauração. Esse projeto já começou. Viabilizado pelo BNDES em parceria com o Ministério do Meio Ambiente e Mudança do Clima, o Arco da Restauração garante reconstruir 6 milhões de hectares de floresta nativa, retirando 1,65 bilhão de toneladas de CO2 até 2030. O Brasil já investiu R$1 bilhão, mas ainda são necessários investimentos de 50 bilhões de reais e a participação de governos, comunidades locais, empresas e cooperações internacionais. Na segunda fase, queremos entregar ao planeta mais 18 milhões de hectares de floresta restaurada até 2050. O Arco da Restauração é um projeto que reconstrói e preserva os ecossistemas e sua biodiversidade, além de criar uma barreira que protege o bioma contra o avanço do desmatamento. Esse processo inclui as comunidades tradicionais, gera empregos verdes e, claro, mais renda. E faz tudo isso capturando carbono e resfriando a terra. Arco da Restauração, a solução que vem da Amazônia, pela Amazônia e para o mundo. Até...
Yeah. Well, yeah, I wanted to show this video that's from the Brazilian National Development Bank, because this is one of the massive programs for restoration. There's going to be other mechanisms, other tools to accelerate reforestation as a tool to removals. So thank you very much for your attention, and thanks again for inviting me here.